cool. All right, agenda, meeting of the Scituate Board of Health, Wednesday, May 31st, 2017, Selectmen's Chambers, Town Hall, 6 PM. I will take a motion to open the meeting and accept the agenda.
Motion to open the meeting on May 31st, 2017, and accept the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, scheduled items. You want to go right to the director's report then? Or should we get on the record?
We can start with the director's report, that's fine.
Okay.
Find it. Hope if I flagged it.
Excuse me.
Sorry about that. I wasn't prepared for the director's report quite yet.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right. So this is where I kind of give you by the numbers where we're at and where we've changed in the past. Private wells, we have 4 applications now in the queue. We have 2 that have been in the queue awaiting revisions and some of the required items. 2 are newly received this week, so we now have 4. We have started pool season. We're initiating application review, pool opening inspections, and getting that season underway. All the folks working on the pools are doing a really good job and getting us what we need when we need it. So that's been really helpful. We currently have 5 housing cases, 5 nuisance cases. So a smaller number of housing cases, nuisance cases have remained the same, and we're still working on 5 environmental release sites across town. Currently for septic, we have 1 new plan in the queue for review. We've been actively working with homeowners to get operations and maintenance criteria addressed and maintenance contract follow-up. So folks who have let contracts lapse, we have sent all of them letters indicating that they need to re-engage in their contracts. And so far, I'd say we have about 1/3 of those responding and getting back where they need to be. So that's been really productive.
Question.
Yeah.
How long does a typical maintenance contract last? A year, 2 years, 3 years?
Well, typically 1 year.
1 year.
And it gives the folks the option of, selecting a new contractor in a short period of time to conduct the
Negotiate
O&M.
price or service or whatever they may.
Yep, so it's
Okay.
typically 1 year. Often at the onset, it's 2 years, so that the system's up and running with the same contractor. We see initial 2-year contracts, but then subsequently, we always see 1 year.
Yeah.
So, we currently have, actually, no, we're down now to 12 failures. One of which is actively being repaired, and one of which is being connected to sewer through the betterment process. So we're slowly trying to get through all of those and work with folks who are behind. Food, very busy right now for food. We have several temporary events that have been coming in line, several coming up. Farmers Market, we're just now starting to receive applications for folks to participate in that this summer season. We've been working very closely with several new establishments, the Voyage in Hummerock, Croquetti's 2, 7-Eleven, and getting them opened. All of their pre-opening inspections have gone very well, and all of them are squared away with the Board of Health. It's just a matter of whether they have Board of Selectmen approval yet. Our kind of next big food item that we're going to try to work on is catering registration. There's an awful lot of catering going on in this town, just like there is in any town. And we are seeing almost no catering registration forms. So we are not getting documentation of what's happening where, menus, etc. So Joan and I are starting that effort to try to reach out to known caterers, our local permitted establishments who are caterers, and kind of remind them of that need
Can I help you?
requirement.
Excuse me for interrupting another meeting, but where is Country Way around here? Is that the street that's right out front?
Now, if you go up to the lights,
Right around his nose?
yeah, either left or right, that's all.
What number country were you looking for?
Like 660, the Baptist Church?
Oh, the Baptist church is, that's the
The one
Baptist
right
church.
turn the
right there.
corner?
Yeah, turn the corner.
Yeah, turn left, and it'd be the building, second building on your left.
Thank you very much.
No problem. No
Turn left at Ronnie Schoen's.
So we're
We're here to
also,
help.
that's right. So that's going to be our next venture, is to get folks up to speed with submitting the registration forms. Pretty easy task, but very important
Is there
task.
a charge on that?
Nope.
Now, when they go to get a permit for, like, over at the marina or whatever, can't they just tell them that they need to get a permit too, or not a permit, but the form,
Yeah, so
when they approve it, the selectmen?
yeah, so that'll be one way that we try to reach out to folks, is we've been watching the agenda, it just hasn't been something we've been able to get to quite yet. But the Board of Selectmen, we can certainly provide them the registration form as part of the review packet. It's just us getting up to speed and reaching out to the right folks.
Okay.
Whether it be, Board of Selectmen, which is one avenue, but also our permitted caterers. So when they cater an event in town, they still need to let us know where they're going and what they're doing. And then also reaching out to venues who support catered events. Like the Elks, the KFC, some of the churches, all they do is support catered events. So it's reaching out to them and saying, hey, when somebody books an event with you, can you please give them this form and ask them to reach out to us? So it's really an education process that we have to undertake. It's just a matter of getting us to that point where we can reach out properly. So that's the next thing that we're...
I hate to ask, but I will. So that's any catered event? I mean, what happens if somebody has a wedding at their house? Is that something that, no, okay.
So it's anytime you serve the public in a public place. If you have a 4th of July party and it's on your property and you have a local caterer come in and do lasagna, stuffed shells, and a salad.
That's their business and my
That's totally
business.
up to you. But if
Okay.
you use a public facility,
And you're charging a fee, or does it matter?
No.
it doesn't matter. It
Doesn't
doesn't
matter.
matter. If you are providing food as a caterer in a public space, you have to register.
Okay.
So for
So
us,
like the golf tournament, like when we do the golf tournament, the nights?
so you submit a temporary food permit, which is a little bit different because you have serve safe folks. You're not bringing someone in, you're doing it yourselves.
Right.
So slightly different. But, for example, somebody has a First Holy Communion at one of the local churches and they use the church hall. That needs a catering registration form.
Or when they have that summer picnic down there? They have a summer picnic every year.
So
They would- yeah, anything like
anything
that.
that's catered out in the public has to register.
I got
And
you.
for us, it's
I
not
just didn't want
a
to see
fee.
it get so far policing that,
Yeah, and there's no fee. I mean, some towns may or may not require a fee. We never have, so never, really don't. We rely on the fact that they are permitted in their community, provide us a copy of their permit, and then filling out the form. How many people, what's your menu? That way, heaven forbid, somebody gets sick and we start to receive 5, 6, 7, 8 phone calls, hey, I was at such and such an event, I
Narrow
got
it
sick.
down.
Our answer isn't, I don't know.
Yeah, narrow it down.
That it's,
Right.
that we know how to reach out to the right people at the right time, quickly.
Excellent.
That's
so
all
then
it
we
is.
know what food they've eaten, we know who was hired, and
Right.
then they'll have records of who worked there, so you can
right.
track it down.
That's right.
Yeah, I got you. No, that
And
makes,
then-
that makes awesome sense. It's
and-
just, yeah.
So, something to catch up on and that we're, actively trying to initiate.
Was this always in the books and it just was never exercised or never?
I'm not sure historically how compliant folks were with sending in their registration forms. I know since I've been here, it's been consistently not reported. So the onus is on us to kind of reach out and say, hey, we're here, this is what you have to do. It's easy.
I can
so
remember
just do
certain
it.
events where they would do it, and then the former agent would go down and say, hey, you guys were supposed to bring some paperwork in, and it was kind of an ignorance thing. They just didn't know.
Yep. Yeah.
Nobody had done it, so there was no education there. And I think that was the education, hey, next time.
Right, yeah, and what we're trying to do is, I'll put together a nice cover letter, this is why you need to do what you need to do, and here's a copy of the form, start using it.
No, that
It has a
explains it
little
well.
checklist on it, so.
That way there's paper trail.
Just it allows us to respond and react quickly if we need to, not have to hunt down information that should be at our fingertips.
Very good.
So for food inspections between May 4th and May 18th, we had a total of 30 inspections, including 9 re-inspections and 4 pre-opening inspections. Critical violations that were observed were dirty ice machines, dish and glass washer not sanitizing, racks dirty, raw foods over ready-to-eat foods, raw foods not separated from each other, and coolers at not proper temperatures. So our food inspector, as always, works with them to get things squared away in the quickest time frame required. And that's what I have for a director's report.
Okay. Next up, old business, and we're discussing the newly done private well regulations, along with the well permit as well, application for a private well permit,
Yes.
which Jen has worked long and tirelessly on.
Amen to that. So I figure I'll go piece by piece to walk you through what I have changed. The application itself, since we last met, I have not changed anything. And so that remains unchanged, is as you reviewed it. Oh, actually, no. Since we last met, I'm sorry. The proposed well use, Russell, you had asked that we change drinking water to potable and then put a note that all wells must meet sampling requirements regardless of that use. So I did make that change following our last meeting.
And I think potable just went along with everything else that was through the regulations.
Right. So for consistency's sake.
Consistency, yeah, thank you very much.
Yep, so I've done that. The checklist itself, which is in the printed package, it's double-sided, so it's a 2-page checklist. The only items changed were to make, under item number 4, for issuing the permit, I made all of the required items on the plan match what the required items were in the changed regulations per our last review. And then, Russell, per your request, under certificate of compliance number 1, as-built plan by a PLS or a PE, I took out those other professionals to match the changes that you had requested in the
Yes.
regulations themselves. So it was really just a match-up. Those were the edits that I
Again,
made.
consistency.
And then on the section, Steve, you had requested that we add a section of items that were required at the time of transfer. So that's where you flip over the page, and you'll see that I added the 3 items that are required, and then you'll see highlighted, in this case it's gray, but in the real world it's blue. I changed the language about the parameters, just again to match the edits made in the regulations themselves. And then,
So,
do you want to walk through the regs?
yeah,
Okay.
which ones?
So on the clean version, anything highlighted in blue are the new items that we discussed at the last meeting and items that I've added since the last meeting that I sent to you yesterday. So all of the items in blue are the changed items in the last 2 weeks. In the definitions, the complete application, I added some clarifying statements about, that the state certification was associated with the well driller, that we request proof of insurance, as we have on other documents. I changed the professionals to be PLS and PE. And I've added just some clarifying language about the distances from which items needed to be put on the plan, to make it clear. I added back in the definitions for consolidated and unconsolidated formations because they were used elsewhere in the regulations. I don't know why this didn't highlight, but Russell, I did add in the irrigation well, a definition that you had caught the last time we met.
Let me ask you a question. The setbacks, where exactly did we get those from?
We took
Is that
them,
DEP, or is that just a combination of different towns?
so we took them from the current private well guidelines, Title V, and a compilation of a conservative estimate based on other towns.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you want to walk through each of the sections. The biggest changes probably came into the appendix.
The appendix.
Yeah. So I added some qualifying information to hopefully make the sampling analysis clearer. I moved the location of the table number so that the table would follow. And then I added a couple of footnotes relative to the radionuclide screening, so that it was both in words and in a figure, identifying that the gross alpha screen was required as part of initial sampling, and then based on that, potential subsequent radionuclides needed to be
Let me ask you a
sampled.
question. So above the table 1, it says if the limit is exceeded in the second test analysis, treatment may be necessary. Do you think maybe we should just put what kind of treatment, where to get the treatment, what,
Where are you?
above table 1?
Above table 1.
It says if the limit is exceeded in the second analysis, treatment may be necessary. Maybe a definition of treatment, maybe what
So-
kind of treatment? Because at that point, people are going to be a little annoyed. Because if they're paying for this testing and then second time it fails, do you know what I mean?
So treatment differs. So different chemicals that exceed require different treatment. In some cases,
Where does one go for the treatment?
you would first start with your well driller,
Okay.
because they know
What to do?
either what needs to be done and can guide you to either
Right.
do it themselves, like adding in a carbon filter. For some chemicals, just
It's
adding a
just
carbon
easy.
filter
It's
is
as easy as
easy
that. Okay.
and simple. For other things, and I am no expert in treatment, but they would then need to consult a water quality expert to make sure that the treatment is appropriate. Whatever means would be required, and different chemicals require different treatment,
Right.
so.
Do you think we should put that in there?
I'm happy to put in whatever you would like.
You guys think we should put something like that in there?
Sure.
Because
I think so.
I think, I just foresee multiple phone calls and aggravated people. That's
So-
all.
Okay,
So just, I don't know, something in the definitions, so refer back to definitions and put it under the definitions maybe,
for treatment,
for treatment, yeah, something like that. I should have got that before, I'm
that's all
sorry.
right.
And all you gotta do is just see, consult well driller, consult whomever it may be,
Yeah.
because all I can see is just phone call after phone call after phone call, you know what I mean? What do we do
Yeah.
now? What do we do now? What do we do now?
I'm sure the well driller will know who to contact, or
They might.
do it themselves.
They might. Or even on the back page of that, Jen, where you have that extra page, or some sort of consolidation somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'll add a definition for treatment.
Yep.
And then I'll make a note, and we can do it, even as a footnote to the table.
Yep.
And footnote that says, for treatment, consult a well driller or water quality expert for
Consult
appropriate.
your well driller.
Consult your well driller or water quality expert for appropriate treatment type to address the particular contaminants of concern.
Oh, I could not have said it better myself.
All right? Footnote.
What do you, so you said this is going public tomorrow, correct?
So.
In the newspaper?
So, yes. So the newspaper ad, which you saw last time, identifies the reason for the regulation, the name of the regulation, that the Board of Health is enacting this regulation, and that it will be voted on at the next meeting on June 12th.
Okay.
So that notice has gone into the Mariner and the Patriot Ledger.
Okay. All right.
One other thing I just noticed, I don't know if this, section 4.8.
4.8?
4.8, yeah. If an existing cesspool, privy, or any portion of a soil absorption system is located between 50 and 100 feet from a private well, could that read 0 and 100 feet? What happens if it's 25 feet?
That was taken straight out of Title V.
There must be something else that overlaps that to tell you it fails, but does that, am I reading it into it too far, or?
No, it's a good question. What about 0 to 50 feet?
Or 0 to 100?
Yeah, 0 to
Well,
100.
50 to 100.
Well, 50 to 100 is covered.
Right, so 0 to 50.
0 to 50.
So what's going on 0 to 50?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I will look
I mean,
into that.
common sense would tell you that if it
Probably
fails
wouldn't
50 to
problem.
100, but a lawyer might say, well, you didn't say 0 to 50.
That's right, nope, that's a good point. I'll look into that, because that's under the inspection criteria.
Loophole.
So I will find that out, and I will let you know.
Adjust accordingly, I just,
Yep.
just,
Okay.
that was all I had. I'm out.
Doug?
Nope. I didn't see anything when I was looking at them.
Then what I will do is I will remove all the colors, remove all the track changes, make it look nice. I will look into that particular comment question. I'll add the definition and associated footnote. I'll resend that out.
And you're not kicking this to any other departments?
Nope, this is it, we're done.
Okay.
I put notices in departmental mailboxes that we're having a meeting, which alerts them to the fact that we're discussing it again.
Okay.
So folks,
Seems like we're on track, everybody's happy, because there's no one here to
I'm hoping that.
say different.
All right.
So I'll create a clean version with the exception of the items that you just discussed with me. I will send that along, and that will be the version that we'll look to vote on, we'll look to have you vote on next time.
Okay.
Now, the new well ones that you said you had a few new wells, they won't be in this one, right?
So,
Could try to.
So, as long as the applications are complete and submitted before these go into effect, we can't impose these on them.
You can suggest, though.
So, and we have, as folks have been coming in, asking about wells, inquiring about applications, taking
Where are the
applications.
addresses, where are the addresses of the 4 that you have now, do you know?
Inley School, one on Summer Street, one on Greenfield, and one on Gilson. all for irrigation to the best of my knowledge. The one came in today, and I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Gilson, huh?
Yeah.
These are designed anyways for health, and I mean, we're restricted, but we're not trying to stop a well, it's more for health reasons.
Right.
Than sport Board of Health, I guess, but,
Right.
yeah.
So we've been, as people have been coming in,
I think
we have...
suggesting to them, I guess that's my point, I'm sorry, I just cut
No,
you
it's
off,
fine.
but it's, you would think you'd want to follow the regulations because it's for health.
Right, right. And we've been alerting folks to the major points of the upcoming regulations, that irrigation and drinking water wells are treated the same way in terms of sampling, that there is going to be a registration of the well, there's going to be a requirement upon transfer of property, so any sale, and the sampling requirements. So those are the big things, I think. So we've been trying to alert folks that, just so you know,
Oh, Dougie,
this is, this is coming.
that's a party fall.
And it will
Trying to make sure
allow,
you fall asleep there.
Yeah.
and this gives them the heads up that there will be requirements in the future, and they can make, hopefully, an informed decision as to whether they want to proceed or not, knowing what's coming down the pipe. Some of the engineers have been asking us, which has been great, what are our draft setbacks? And they have been working within our draft setbacks already, to make sure that, their client is best served.
Yeah, it makes it more equitable, and you're not, not compliant in a year
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
with a whole new list of questions.
Any comments, questions, concerns with either the application form or the checklist?
I'll make a comment.
I don't think so.
I think you've done a great job.
Thank
Thank
you
you very much for
Absolutely.
your hard work
Thank you. Thank
and
you.
providing us with information on, once a week and showing the changes you've made. It's, there's a lot of effort put towards it, and it's been duly noticed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, hopefully,
Good job.
hopefully it will be helpful to folks too, so that good, safe drinking water.
That's my comment.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
Okay.
think you're running out of colors.
I know, I really am running out of colors. You're right. No doubt about that.
Okay, next up,
Crayon box.
administrative invoice approvals and meeting minute approvals on May 15th. So, our meeting 2 weeks ago?
So we actually don't have those.
Okay, so we have some invoices to sign?
We have a bunch of invoices to sign. And then you want to then go back up to the scheduled items?
Yes.
Clutter reduction skills group meeting, is that hoarding?
Yes.
This is a new term for hoarding?
So,
We're being politically correct now, it's not hoarding anymore?
so there are certain folks who use the word hoarding, and there's another group who uses clutter. The name of the workshop and the training series is for clutter reduction.
Change definitions, and some people don't know what you're talking about. I had to meet here at Town Hall the other night, and someone referred to it as the town offices. And I'm like, it says Town Hall in the building. Town Hall. He's always changing something. It's okay, it was for a good cause. No harm, no foul.
When the acronyms change, that's when you really have to worry.
Just caught me. Yeah, you wouldn't, I think about that. Maybe they originally came from a different part of the country and they were called town offices, as close to a town hall.
Oh, maybe.
Okay, last but not least, back up to our schedule items. Discuss/vote non-compliance with Town of Scituate Board of Health supplementary rules and regulations for disposal of sanitary sewage, Septic Pro Incorporated. I guess let the record show as a no-show.
Yep. Yep, 6:30, almost 6:35.
And discuss/vote non-compliance with Town of Scituate Board of Health supplementary rules and regulations for disposal of sanitary sewage, McGonigal Septic Services, and let that show as a no-show as well.
So, McGonigal Septic sent me an email late this afternoon indicating that he had a scheduling conflict and was requesting that his hearing be continued. So I recommend that we request his presence at the next meeting, which would be on the 12th.
Okay.
And then I can let him know that he's being rescheduled to then.
Okay. And as far as Septic Pro, should we give him the benefit of the doubt, or should we proceed further?
I would recommend that, that you proceed. He appears to be aware that this hearing was being held. We received the Pump and Haul records for 2017 in our door mailbox this morning prior to Town Hall's opening. However, those records are incomplete. I left him a voicemail message this morning at between 8 and 8:30, indicating that the records were received, but that I believe they were incomplete, and that this hearing would still proceed this evening, since it was a frequent and chronic violation of the local regulation, and that I would hope his presence would be made. I did not get a return phone call to that voicemail.
And this doesn't show what station he used, correct?
What's that?
Where he dumped them?
Right, so our local regulations require, which is in that packet, that records must be submitted monthly for addresses serviced no later than the 10th day of the following month. The information has to include the name of the residence or the establishment, the address, the date pumped, whether it was removed from a tank or a cesspool, and the approximate volume. We don't require that we know where it goes.
Okay.
But this has been an ongoing,
And last communication with him verbally was?
verbally, where I've been able to speak with him, January 23rd.
Okay.
I have spoken to him several times in the field. I have sent emails, letters. I don't know how else to communicate to get the required records on a monthly basis. This has been ongoing since last year. I sent him a letter in March of 2016, October of 2016, would not issue his permit for 2017 until all the records were received. So we received May through December, just before I issued the permit to him sometime in January. I sent him an email March 29th, giving him a firm deadline of April 3rd, and a reminder that every month it has to be provided. I sent another email on May 23rd. I left him a voicemail message this morning, so I'm not sure how else to implore him to
Thoughts?
submit the records.
Thoughts?
She did very well, and her suggested motion is to move to suspend the Pump and Haul issue to Septic Pro until any given date, but you put until June 5th to get his records in order. So
So, yeah, so my recommendation is twofold. that he provide his records by June 5th, which would be, I believe, Monday, and separate but equal suspending his permit, not one being contingent on the other. Because I have found that the only way I get records is by threatening action, i.e. bringing before the board, not issuing a permit. So my concern is that moving forward, if action isn't taken in some way, that way to be decided by you, we're going to go down this road in 3 or 4 months.
Just keep chasing.
Where I keep chasing, I keep asking, and it's only when I say, fine, I'll let the board decide, what happens. Do I actually get a response?
He brought records in today.
Correct.
Right, you said early in the morning.
Correct.
And are they complete?
No.
No.
All right.
And that was part of the voicemail I left for him this morning between 8 and 8:30 when...
How are they not complete? Are they?
Because I'm aware of other addresses that have been pumped that are not in
That
there.
are not in here?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And, some of them don't even have property owners' names for the ones that were provided.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that doesn't tell me who owns
I
it.
know, Chris.
This was done at 11:30 last night.
Yeah.
I've done that a few times.
Yeah, I don't know, it just,
Thoughts?
well, it's tough. I've never really pulled a permit before, so it's like traveling on new ground. It's too bad he didn't show up. I mean,
Well, I feel the same way as you, because he needs to do business, he needs to pay his bills, he needs to do everything, and commerce is the way to keep going. But in Jen's defense, she's chasing and chasing and chasing.
Oh,
And it's
without a
just-
question.
And is this, not that we take it personally, but, I mean, if you don't show up, it's sort of a slap in the face, I mean, we're only gonna have him here for 5 minutes,
Right,
so...
right. Yeah, I guess there's two ways. You pull the permit and have them come running, and
that's the only
and then
way-
how far do you want to go? You pulled for 2 weeks until we meet again, or a week and a half, and say, doesn't matter what you do. At this point, we want you before us. Or do you wait for a week and a half to tell him if he doesn't, then we are pulling your permit, there's no question.
Well, let me answer this, Jen. So if we did this, the contractor's further required to submit all delinquent pump, he needs to complete these to the best of your knowledge. How are you gonna chase that? I mean, you have 2 business days to chase that till Monday. How are you gonna let him know that?
So,
Because if we did this is Monday's date.
right.
I'm not saying if we decide to suspend it, but you want all this information by Monday. That gives him 2 business days, which is, he should have plenty of time to do it. So first thing in the morning tomorrow, you're gonna call him up and say this is what happened, or you're just gonna let it take its natural course?
Well, so the dates are up to you. I mean,
We could change the dates.
Yeah, it's up to you. It's just kind of based on the information we had last Thursday when I did this.
So if we decide to suspend it right now, then it's up to you tomorrow to make the phone call.
So I will draft a letter to him so that he has it in writing, and I will send it both certified mail, email, and I will also make that phone call so that there is confirmed communication, and then that information will also be shared with the other relevant departments, the Board of Selectmen and the Sewer Department.
Sure.
The other option is, I think a good option is that,
No,
what's that?
no, as much as I hate to do it, you gotta teach a little lesson here.
But would we,
I'm
how about it go from there to like Wednesday or Thursday? Because if she drafts the letter, gets it to him, even though email or phone call is immediately, handwritten won't be there till probably Friday.
That's true, but who's to say, if we don't if we don't, and as Russell said, it's uncharted territory, at least for us, and you've been on the board 3 times as long, it's uncharted territory, but if you have a habitual abuser, at what point is it fair to her to have to chase every 6 months or once a year? And
Well, I was going to suggest too, in light of saying that, is I'd almost be more apt to wait for a week and a half and tell him if he's not at the meeting, then there's no question, you're out. Your license will be pulled. And he's coming next week anyways, but to say at this point, we're not going to let you go out 6
well,
months.
he's not coming, and McGonagall's going. He's not. He did not make any effort. McGonagall was the one who made the effort. He did
Well,
not
I
make
guess
any
we're
effort.
just discussing this guy here.
Right.
Yeah.
He did not make any effort and say.
Except for his
Well, he did drop this stuff off, that's the only effort.
But I guess my question is, does he probably does Cohasset too, right?
I would assume so. They're a Cohasset-based business, so I would presume they do. But we don't coordinate between towns,
You
you
don't,
know, the
yeah.
pumping, so it's an assumption.
Right.
Probably a good one, but it's
Yeah.
an assumption.
I guess.
I mean, obviously, you guys make the decisions, but I would certainly support the idea of, he has until the next meeting to review and provide complete records.
And he should be at the next
And
meeting
show up,
anyways.
No matter
show up
what.
at the next meeting, and then you make your decision as to what to do with this permit.
And I think at
It's
that
an
point,
idea.
it's to explain to him
Idea.
that that's it, the free ride's over. At this point, it says in our bylaw, the previous month's records are due on the 10th.
Russell, his free ride's been over for a while. This is habitual, this has been going on. You
But that's
can
my
look at the
point
paper trail.
is now we're not gonna let it go months after months after months.
That was the whole meeting, that was the whole point of this meeting.
Correct. I get that. But we've never had him before us before.
True.
He's never been in, we've never talked to him, he's never had a lesson, so to say, of what the power of the board can do, which is basically eliminate your business within the town of Scituate.
Right.
If that's the path you choose to go down to, that's fine. Don't provide your records, don't work with us.
And we'll
And we'll
revoke it.
part separate ways, and life is good. If you want to continue to do work, then you start complying and being a little better about it. And we're not going to let it go 4 or 5 months next time. If you're 2 weeks late, you'll be back before the board with your license under review again. And if you want to continue to do this, again, we'll part separate ways. It's very easy to pull your license. It's a simple mode, but I'd
Okay.
rather not do it. I think the more I think about it, I'd rather not do it tonight, although we could, and we have every right to. Give them the benefit of the doubt a week and a half. And if you want to test those waters a little further, then that's what it is.
You okay with that?
I'm fine with that.
Do we need to make a motion for that? All right, I'll make the motion. So, make a motion to have Jen get in touch with Mr. Walsh of Septic Pro, telling him he needs to be up to date with his records, complete records, and show up at the next meeting, which is
June 12th.
June 12th, which would be a week from Monday.
Yep. At which time, you'll discuss.
Should the records be,
You tell the board's not
Yeah,
happy.
before.
Basically, the board's not happy. A, you didn't show up. B, your records are incomplete. And you're pulling your final straw.
So I will send him a letter.
Need a second.
Sorry.
Second, yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So I will send him a letter indicating that he needs to provide complete records.
He's got a week and a half.
Right. And
He's got a week and a half.
And at that point, he should have also provided May, because it will be after
It'll
the
be
10th
after
of
June
the
10th,
month.
correct.
And that he will be expected to be present at the next meeting, at which point.
Does he respond to your emails?
No.
Okay.
He no longer responds to anything. Phone calls,
So this-
emails, or...
Well, he did respond.
Right, but I'm not able to speak with him.
And not to take from you, you've been heard loud and clear as far as I'm concerned. Now, it's his first non-response to the board, so to say. So he's showing what he's capable of, to us. And I hear you loud and clear.
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah, so,
All right. That would be it. Take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
motion to adjourn the meeting?
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting over.